as the week progresses, because what will happen is on the front end of the week, you might be able to book up Monday, Tuesday, and there's a lot more kind of open time slots for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you're engaged in activity like B2B on Monday from 1 to 5, what do you think will come out of that? Think about it. If you go for 4 hours of talking to people in their places of business, making contact with them, explaining who you are and what you do, what do you think will come of that? Follow-ups. And when do you think you can book the follow-ups? Later into the week on your Wednesday and your Thursday. And all of a sudden, what looked like that 112 turned into whatever we said it was, 60, let's call it. You had 60 hours. Well, you might have only booked up so far 20 of it, but what eventually starts to occur is the other 60 starts to book itself because of the 20 you're already engaged in. Does that make sense? If you have appointments on Monday and Tuesday, those people give you referrals. You make the calls to the referrals. Maybe you had 10 of them, 3 of them booked other appointments. They're now filling in those extra time slots for you. Does that make sense? So every night we're engaging in a review of where we're at, what we did, who we need to get in contact with, and filling up the rest of that schedule so that we're committed to the time we've allocated for ourselves to be committed to. Fair enough? Okay. When you're done, you want to ideally have all 6 points of the marketing system scheduled in. Because here's what I know. If a person had a desire to go from here to Los Angeles, and the only way they knew how to get there by car was to drive on one road, they only knew one destination to get down there, and all of a sudden they found out that there was a highway closure, if they didn't take the initiative to figure out an alternative route, they're never getting to Los Angeles. Does that make sense? Well, it's the same thing to success. If all you do is one activity all the time, you have less likelihood of getting to the outcome as engaging in multiple forms of activity. Does that also make sense? Because what it's doing is differentiating your opportunity to get there. Okay? Because you can't do the same activity at all times of the day. Does that also make sense? So again, you want to make sure that you try to get as much variance in your activity during the course of the week for sanity as well, so that you're not just losing your mind, banging your head against the wall saying, well, this just doesn't seem to be working right now. Make sense? Okay? This schedule should be shared with your leader to allow them the opportunity to allocate their time and activities to support the team. So, just as a prime example, kind of what things look like, you don't really need to take a picture of that or anything. The biggest thing is to have a Google Calendar. You'd see, and if I had the whiteboard, I didn't know I was going to have one, you'd see all the various different quadrants filled in to fill up your time. But again, the wonderful thing is because the first thing you booked off was time for who? Yourself. You have given yourself balance, which is crucial. Because you see all those orange-colored time slots in your week, and you have so much to look forward to every single time those time slots are in there. Make sense? Okay? So any questions so far on activity? You're like, are you on slide 3? How many slides do you have, Mike? 100. What? Okay? So we're good with activity and action. The next one, very simple, is your attitude. And it needs to be a positive mental attitude. Attitude is absolutely everything. It's 10% what happens to you, 90% how you react to it. Life is going to sometimes surprise you, good, bad, or indifferent. How you react to everything that's happening is what's crucial. When someone tells you no, they're not saying you're a horrible person. They just weren't necessarily interested or didn't fully understand what you were talking about. So you cannot take it personally. At the end of the day, you've probably not been interested or not understood something fully from one point or another. So don't give up. Don't get into a ball and cry on the floor. That's not necessary. Lean on us. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you get your attitude where it needs to be. Okay, some of you are like, does this guy have a camera? He's seen me crying in a ball, right? Okay, so understand the no's will eventually lead you to that yes, right? And attitude is so crucial. So how do you maintain your attitude? Set goals daily, but be specific and make a game plan on how to accomplish that goal today. Now, when we talk about goals, I am not talking about outcome-related goals. So in other words, APV. When you sit down and you say, I'm going to do 5,000 in APV, you cannot control that. That is not a controllable goal. It is an important goal for you to set for yourself. If you want to try to achieve a certain amount of volume, that's great, fantastic, set that goal. But the only goals you can hold yourself accountable to are activity-related goals. In other words, you go back to that 4 hours of prospecting that you want to do. Maybe you tell yourself, I will not quit this activity unless I give a minimum of 15 presentations in this 4-hour window. Can you commit to that goal? Yeah, you could. Why? Because if you went out and you talked to one person and that person said no, what can you do next? Talk to another person. And you could talk to as many people as you need to give that 15 presentations if that was the case. So all you can control is activity-related goals. That's what you want to set yourself, or hold yourself accountable to and set for yourself. Does that make sense? Activity-related goals. From there, take on new challenges and don't become stagnant. The longer you put off getting uncomfortable, the more uncomfortable you become. Did you guys catch that? The longer you put off getting uncomfortable, the more uncomfortable you become. If you're absolutely petrified of doing business to business today, you will be even more terrified tomorrow, and even further terrified the following day. Because it builds, and it builds, and it builds, and then it's something that you may never be able to get over because you've built up this huge amount of fear in and around it. Does that make sense? It's like anything. When you have a Band-Aid on, and I know not everybody's hairy, but whatever, okay. If you have a Band-Aid on a spot where there's some hair, you know when you're going to rip it off, it's going to what? Now, some of you may be creepy and just slowly, no, you probably do what? Rip off the Band-Aid, right? Because you know there's going to be a certain level of pain, but you want to get it over with, okay? Same type of process. Kind of, sort of. Anyway, moving forward. I forgot this is being recorded. Never make excuses, okay? Never make excuses. At the end of the day, again, we talk about how you're the only person standing in the way of your success. Maintain an active lifestyle, and that also includes balance, right? We talk about that time with family. Share your goals with your spouse and family. Very crucial. Get them involved in your process. Now, I talk a lot about this here because it is crucial for you to understand who is a positive influence in your life and a negative influence in your life. A lot of your friends are going to be a negative influence in your life. And it's very important that you come to terms with this very early on. They're going to want to pee on your parade. They do not want to see you get further ahead in life than they are. And they will tell you everything possible to try to hold you back from doing something that makes them uncomfortable because they do not want anyone to go beyond their capacity. This will happen. So you start a new career, a new venture, and they're like, oh, that just sounds like a scam. What the hell are you talking about? It's multi-level marketing. I didn't even tell you what I do. That's got to be a pyramid. What? I didn't even say hi yet. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? They're so stuck where they're stuck that the fact that you're willing to get uncomfortable to change your life makes them so uncomfortable that they want to try to reel you in as quick as possible because it will show them that they have potential too and they're afraid to unlock it. Okay? The sooner you identify that, the easier it's going to be because when you're having conversations with people like this, you need to be mentally aware of the crap that might come out of their mouth because if you allow them, they will basically deter you or distort your vision of what you have. Does that make sense? Okay? Now your family, on the other hand, ideally they love you. Okay? Ideally they love you. But what I learned very early on is if you want your family's support, you must condition your family to support you. Now you might say, what do you mean by that? It's one thing for me, and let's say Tony and I are brothers, okay? It's one thing for me to go to Tony and say, hey, Tony, I want to make $100,000 this year. Okay, man, I'm going to need your support. That's all I say to him, okay? That's all I tell Tony. And when I'm going through all the tough times that come along the way to make $100,000 that I've never made before in a brand new career, brand new area, brand new industry, and I start calling Tony from time to time, and I'm like, man, I got told no 3,600 times today. Oh, that's not possible, but you get the idea, okay? And you know, it's just difficult, and it's cold outside, and it's blah, 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 and it just didn't happen for me. If Tony really cares about me as a brother, eventually what is he going to say to me? Whether I shared with him my goal to make $100,000 or not, he's eventually going to say what to me? Because he cares about me. You need to do something different. I don't like seeing what this is doing to you. You know, it's tough on you. It's not going to work for you. Find something different. Because all I did was share a piece of what I want to do. I didn't share the why behind why I want to do it. The difference in conversation comes, Tony, I'm now starting a new career, and it's going to be X, Y, Z. Here's what I'm going to be doing. This career is going to take me to what I'm hoping to be my first $100,000 a year. Now, I know that it's going to have ups and downs, but I've committed to an entire year to do this, and I need your support that from time to time, I might need to download on you, but I never want you to tell me to give up. I need you to have empathy, not sympathy, and tell me tomorrow's going to be another day. Can I count on you for that? Now, when I call Tony, and I say, Tony, man, everybody said no, everybody said it was freezing cold outside, and all my appointments canceled, and I got a spare tire on my car now because it broke down in the middle of 16th Avenue, and everyone was giving me the finger. Whatever. Okay? Tony says, wow, man, that sounds horrible. Remember, your goal is to make sure you committed to this year. You need to see it through. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. Condition the family. The biggest support you get is the support you get from home. However, you need to condition them to understand the why behind what you're doing. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, so important. Find time for yourself, but earn it first. We talked about that, making sure you've got that balance. Develop good habits, also crucial. Push yourself every day to challenge yourself to find new horizons. And never say words like, I can't. The moment you start to let negativity eat in is the moment it starts to spread, like an infectious disease. Think of that, eh? Anytime you say the word, I can't, you have an infectious disease. That should really, you know what? I'm glad we're recording this because I want you to remember that again. Anytime you say, I can't do that, Angie, I can't do that, Tony, you're infectious. And you know what? As a team, guys, if you ever hear one of your peers say something like, I can't, can you stand up and say, you're infectious? Because you know what? Sometimes it requires a reality check. Can we do that as a team? Angie has no idea what we're talking about, so in one meeting, like a week from now, it's going to be really funny when someone says, oh, I can't do that, and someone stands up, you're infectious, and Angie goes, oh my God, what's going on? But can we count on that? Again, support each other right through this process. Oh, I'm a weirdo. Believe in yourself and your abilities. It's so crucial. Belief stems to everything that you want to do, right? When we did the kickoff in Calgary, you heard me talking about how the first step in everything is having a dream, right? You have to dare to dream to be able to challenge yourself, to be able to grow, to take on new horizons. But the next step I talked about was what? Belief. You need to believe that you have the capacity to get there. Otherwise, you're just dreaming forever. And there's nothing wrong with dreaming. There's magic in dreaming. The bigger the dream, the bigger the magic. But unfortunately, what happens at the end of a dream? You wake up and reality kicks in. So you got to understand you have to have a level of belief in what it is you want to do. Now, the fact that something can be conceived or achieved. Now, careful, can be conceived. All right. You get the idea. It can be achieved or conceived. We'll just leave it at that. Is the fact that it's been done. As an example, the fact that someone writes a winter score, 2,500 in volume, means it's both conceivable and achievable, right? But the only way you'll do it is if you believe you can. See, a winter score, we know, can be written all the time. But you'll only write one when you believe you have the capacity to do it. Does that make sense? Yes. Perfect example for me, smoking. Bad habit of mine, real bad habit of mine. I know it, I get it, I understand. But I've quit before, twice. Cold turkey, I made the decision. Now, what's the difference between me smoking today and not smoking then? Is when I chose to quit, what did I do? I believed I could do it, which is why I did it cold turkey and I didn't go back. And then I made the decision later on to come back. Does that make sense? Again, now I'm not condoning smoking. That's not what this is. But what I am saying is it's very simple for you to go one direction or the other, but it all happens with belief. Because if I said to you today, I'm going to quit smoking tomorrow, because I don't want to or believe that I want to tomorrow, it wouldn't happen. I might not smoke for a day, but then I'd smoke again on Wednesday. Does that make sense? You have to have a made-up mind and believe that you have the capacity to do it. Everybody with me? Okay? So again, not endorsing smoking in any way, shape, or form. Okay? So let's talk about belief for a minute. I take the word belief down and I break it down into an acronym for you to understand what the process is for you to start to have the belief necessary in you. The first step in belief starts with the letter B, and it means you must begin. You must begin to believe in yourself. In other words, you make the decision. And when you make a decision, it means to kill off the alternative. You have now decided, this is your choice. You will begin this journey to go and make the first step. Every journey requires you to take that first step. You must begin the process to believe in yourself. Now, what keeps you going throughout that journey is the letter E, which stands for envision. You must now envision where it is you want to go. Many of you have heard me talk about this before. Christopher Columbus was on a boat. He was trying to find one country, completely found a different continent, but that's okay, different of situation. How long do you think he was out in the water for before he hit land? A week? Months, years, right? Now think about this for a moment. You're in a boat. You're in the middle of the ocean. When you look north, all you see is what? You look south, all you see is what? You look east, all you see is what? You look west, all you see is what? You think you feel a little lonely? And then tomorrow, you get up, and what do you see again? The next day, what do you see? That's why they had diving boards on these things, so that they could just, walk the plank. It's just enough's enough. No, it gets depressing, right? What do you think the people on the boat thought about the entire time they were on the boat? Land. Every morning they woke up, and before they got up and looked northeast, south, and west and saw water, they visualized what? Land. You must visualize your land, whatever that land is. Your life, your land, whatever's important to you, you have to close your eyes and you have to visualize it. You have to keep it in your mind, because when you begin the journey, you need to keep that process visually in front of you in order to have the motivation necessary to do it again. Because otherwise, you can be in the middle of the ocean feeling very, very lonely. Does that make sense? Okay? The L is to get passionate. It's to live and love what you do passionately. Those with passion, people want to learn more from them because they know it's genuine. They know it's coming from a good place. You need to get passionate about what you do. Now, if you're sitting here saying, well, how do you get passionate about insurance? Sit back and think about the difference that it makes, not that it's insurance. Have a conversation with somebody that went through a difficult time, didn't have insurance, then talk to someone that went through a difficult time and had what we provide. There's your passion. Have enough of those conversations, and you start to really take pride in what you do. That then extenuates over to having passion for what you do, which will then lead you to the opportunity to go out there and be able to share it with more people, with more excitement, with more enthusiasm. Does that make sense? We need to be sharing this at all times. The I, inspire. Because inspiration can be sought out, motivation comes from within. Inspiration can be sought out, motivation comes from within. Okay? It sometimes is difficult to have motivation if you are not inspired. Make sense? So how do you seek out inspiration? Well, Angie's a very inspirational person. I assume coming to these Monday business overviews gives you motivation, gives you the inspiration necessary. Wednesday, same thing. But you can also find this stuff on your own. You know, we live in a world that has this thing called the internet. Have you heard of this thing? You guys know about it? Yeah, like it started yesterday or something. Yeah, okay, cool. So on the internet, there's this thing called YouTube. Have you heard of this thing? Yeah. Oh my God, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Did you know that there's a search function in there? What? I know, right? It's crazy. Did you know that if you were to just type the word inspiration or motivation or belief or perseverance or any of these kinds of qualities, did you know that it will bring you a bunch of videos that are on that subject? Did you know? This is news. I just found out. I just found out. Okay? What I'm saying is if you're having a difficult time, there's nothing wrong with having a little pity party, doing whatever you need to do, scream into a pillow if you need to, but give yourself only a short period of time to be in that negative element and follow it up immediately with an inspirational element. So if you're out and you're engaged in, let's go back to that 4 hours of B2B, and you've spent an hour and a half at hearing no, 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 and you need a quick little 5-minute, oh my God, woe is me party, get into your car, scream into the steering wheel, honk the horn, have a bunch of people get crazy, look at you, but then go onto YouTube and search overcoming timidity or fear or perseverance in the eye of difficulty and watch a 2 or 3 minute video that gives you the uplifting inspiration that you need to power on and move forward. Because again, sometimes what we do is we use that same technology to get sidetracked and further dig the hole as opposed to make sure that we cover the hole up and continue to move forward. What do I mean by that? You get sidetracked, you hold that pity party, now you get on the phone, you call a friend, you download all your negativity to your friend, they now start talking to you about more negativity. Now you don't even want to go engage in that activity anymore, but you got 2.5 hours to spare because you'd only done an hour and a half of it already. So now you're on your phone and you're still on YouTube, but you're watching weird cat videos on YouTube instead. But do you know how quick it is for us to get distracted? Do you know what I mean? So it's about creating the right habits and seeking out that inspiration wherever you need it to give you that extra, push forward, okay? E, engage. You must engage yourself mentally and physically in everything that you want to do, okay? That means engaging in the right activities. It means engaging in the right mindset, okay? Starting off every single day with a quick, what am I grateful for, and do 1, 2, 3 things will really dramatically change your mindset. First thing you do when you wake up, put your feet on the floor and say, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for whatever. Just say it to yourself. You would be surprised how that quick, little tiny exercise gets your mind going on a positive element first thing in the morning, okay? Something small like that. So you got to engage yourself mentally and physically in what you want to do. And lastly, the F in believe stands for focus. You have to have precision-like, laser-like focus to achieve what you want to achieve. It can't be blurred, it can't get milky, it can't be any of those things. You must be focused to achieve what you want to achieve. Now, why is this important? We just kicked off a 90-day blitz. So don't you think more than ever belief is important right now? If you're going to talk about doing a 90-day blitz, committing the next 90 days to changing the life for you and for your family, don't you need to believe it's possible before you even start? Yes. So isn't this more than ever something that we need to do yesterday? See, and this process doesn't just happen once. Let me give you an example. First thing in the morning, you wake up, you've got a real, you say, I'm going to do this today, this is going to happen. You close your eyes, you visualize yourself going after what it is you've sought for. You get real excited and passionate because you just leave a meeting. You're like, whoa, I'm pumped. You're inspired, right? You're going out there and you're engaging in some activities. You're really starting to make some progress. You're focused, but then you get hungry. And what happens when you get hungry? Well, you're going to stop and you're going to what? Eat. Now, what happened to all that momentum, that excitement, that energy? Now you're digesting. And you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have ate that extra order of shrimp, whatever, I don't know. Shouldn't have done that. Man, I got to get back out there, but whew, I'm feeling pretty tired. Well, what has to happen all over again? You need to do a checkup from the neck up, and you need to start to believe again. You need to close your eyes. You need to visualize. You need to get excited and passionate about what you're about to do. You need to inspire yourself to get out there. You need to engage in the right activities. You need to get focused. Because sooner or later, what's going to happen again? You're going to get hungry, or you're going to get a phone call, or something's going to happen that is going to take away from what it is you've set out to do in that moment. So this is an ongoing process, and you need to be self-aware of it to make sure that you continue to believe in where you want to go. Are we all on the same page? Yeah. All right, so only 95 slides to go, guys. We're doing well. You guys didn't want to sleep tonight, did you? Okay, cool. All right, any questions on attitude and what part attitude plays in what we do? No? So the next part is product knowledge. Product knowledge, what we do and how we do it, okay? I'm going to be very, very blunt in this room, guys. If you don't know how the underwriting of a product works, that is your fault. It is not your leader's fault. It is not your trainer's fault. It is not the company's fault. Whose fault is it? And I'm not trying to be some really mean dictator up here. I'm just saying, do all of you have the information available to you to know how that program works? If I said to you, what's the issue age on an HEA? And again, you don't have to put your hands up, and one or two of you don't know, did you know that you can find it without having to call somebody, without having to reach out to someone? Now, I'm not saying that I don't want you communicating amongst each other and asking for each other's help. But what I am saying is if you're asking a question to somebody, take the liberty to make sure that once you know it, so that that isn't a repetitive process and you become someone else's project. Does that make sense? Okay? Because here's what I learned. Everyone, I think it's fair to say, would have at least 10 minutes every night that you could allocate to bettering your product knowledge. Is that a completely unrealistic expectation of me? If you right now don't really understand how a CI works, you could go onto the PMA portal for 10 minutes every single night, and you could read through the underwriting manual on it every single night for 5 days in a row for 10 minutes. Do you think you would have a better understanding of that product the following week? Yes. But are we allocating the time?